I have Robin Raina. Now, Robin Raina, besides, I think Robin needs to be officially appointed the best dressed, the most fashionable person in the corporate world in India, but he's chairman of the board of Ebix today and serial entrepreneur as well. Robin, thank you for coming in. It makes me think, Robin, and he referred to the US, and by the way, you started your business in the United States of America. You have a big US presence, and now you are investing in India. I think sometimes we undermine our own leadership, Robin, because listening to Mohan and Rajiv, I thought that if you look at how Narendra Modi has charted the story, see social reform, Swachh Bharat, things like that, structural reform, both critical, but sometimes criticized, GST, demonetization, a push towards a digital economy. And now he is doing what I think will define his, his career as Prime Minister so far, which is the big measures looking forward, a massive push in infrastructure. So I'm getting a feeling that perhaps the Prime Minister would have done this regardless of COVID. Or maybe we are linking COVID to this. But maybe the Prime Minister is working to a game plan that is not a 1 year, 6-month game plan. You see, we look at things in 6 months, 2-year figures. Maybe the Prime Minister is charting a 5, 10-year, 15-year game plan that we are now only beginning to see and understand. Robin, what do you think?
You summed it up absolutely in a fantastic manner. Ultimately, while this is a growth budget, this is a budget, it conveys continuity in it. If you look through some of the policies, whether it is the pro-poor policy, whether it is the Swachh Bharat, more money into infrastructure, more money into Swachh Bharat, more money into healthcare, and so on, you will see there is continuity. Tax reform, for example, meaning the government took a fantastic step forward some time back to rationalize taxes to 22%. Now they're taking it, there's more continuity in this budget.
Yes.
Next step, they're making it, they're saying now there will be in appellate tribunals don't need to be faceless. They're bringing digitization. They're also trying to bring in, they're trying to attract NRIs into it by saying, okay, double taxation treaties will become easier and so on.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of continuity in it. While this is a pandemic budget to some extent because the government has responded to COVID. The government has responded to the fact that the country needs that V-shaped recovery from here onwards. We need that 11, 12% kind of growth going forward. So the government has taken steps towards bringing in a lot of money into the economy by bringing in money into infrastructure projects, which will by itself generate growth, employment, jobs, and so on. So I see this as growth accompanied with a lot of continuity. And in a way, Mr. Modi is clearly putting his stamp on this budget in the form of saying, look, I came up with the agenda. I am very people-focused. And here I am, while we are in the midst of the pandemic, I'm going to make sure that there is more continuity in what I have been trying to do in my 2 terms.
I think, Robin, if these things have happened, the government needs to disseminate information about its own achievements a little bit more aggressively because firstly, I don't believe in these ratings. I am just, this S&P global ratings giving India BBB minus long-term rating. They are so opportunistic about it and so opaque about it. So I agree with the person who said that. But Robin, I think the bigger thing that I felt was, having covered a few budgets before, that this time the language being spoken is very, very different. It is not a political language. This is a government that has freed itself of political pressure at a very critical time when it is 1.5 years, a little bit more into the second term. And then it's talking about this infra push. It is talking about the recognition for R&D, the production-linked incentive scheme for manufacturing. So it's getting into brass tacks talk, which personally I think last 6 years it's never been in this brass tacks mode on the economic front as this time. Robin, do you feel the same way? Did you feel a strategic shift in the main nature of communication, the intensity of the timelines they are setting for themselves?
Well, I think you're dealing with a very confident government who feels that they have the mandate and who feels that this is time to implement and do what they think is the right thing. So when I look at some of the steps they have taken, they all they have tried to take care of the poor person. They tried to take care of the rural sector. They tried to create more jobs on one side. They're trying to focus on healthcare. They're trying to provide cleanliness. And when you look at some of them, they've also taken some of these senior citizen steps, like no tax filing above the age of 75 and so on. So I kind of
very genuine. Yeah,
I kind of feel that the government understands that to attract FDI investment is a key step that is required. So they rationalize the taxes on one side. On the second side, they also realize how are you going to get outside investment? One of the sectors is manufacturing. So in manufacturing, they've taken many steps in terms of providing subsidies, in terms of taking, for example, providing tax holidays to startups and so on, and lower 15% tax rate for people to come in and invest in manufacturing and so on. So I feel some of these steps are really meant to create an India of the future. And that is why I said this has Mr. Modi's stamp all over it, in terms of this is not only a budget meant to counter COVID, right? But it is also a budget meant to really continue India's march forward, which obviously took a hit during COVID.
Yeah.
And government wants to come back and come back to their policies and really go with the growth-oriented kind of a concept, and put in policies where a foreign investor, for example, would want to come in. Because, for example, what is one of the biggest pain points for a foreign investor? Infrastructure, transparency, corruption, right? And by taking steps like digitizing tax reform, by taking steps like putting in more money into infrastructure, roads, railways, the government is kind of creating a groundwork for a better India, India that would welcome foreign investors, where a foreign investor would feel that this is the right place for me to really
that was my
from China to India.
Yes, Robin.
Yeah. So what I wanted to add was two things which stand out for me outside everything we spoke about was the insurance one. One, the allowance that the government gave.
Yes.
Allowing people, FDI, to increase that. Secondly, the gift city that we haven't talked much about. One of the statements that the finance minister made was that the gift city in Ahmedabad will they're going to make that a hub in terms of a financial center. When you put these two things together,
fintech,
FDI investment in insurance, and basically what I see is the foundations of possibly converting the gift city into not just a financial hub, but also if India can attract insurers out there, we could create an insurance hub out here too, which would lead the
now Robin,
the European world.
Sure, Gauri. No, Gauri, before you come in, I was actually now that opens up a whole new debate because I thought the insurance decision was fantastic, Gauri, because not just for the decision itself, it shows a newfound confidence that with a strong Indian management, you don't need to be insecure, that Indian companies can compete and win with the best in the world, and we don't need to be worried about that. I just want, because Robin mentioned that, I sort of just came in.